I want to bring in General Arun Sahni into this conversation. Sir, when you look at the entire spectrum of India's response to Pakistan's state-sponsored radical Islamist terror, how do you perceive what Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh just said at Marshal of the Air Force Arjan Singh Memorial Lecture, when he said not just these terrorists, but even those who from behind the scenes were aiding and abetting them, there will be consequences for them? Or what's that effect, General?
Evening, Gaurav. Sorry, not really the best of time to come online with you, but I think what has happened has been extremely ghastly, has been perpetuated with a very, very sinister agenda to try and break the harmony in this country. This targeted killing of people because of religious thing is to fuel this communal divide that seems to be getting propagated by a lot of political mudslinging which happens, the Waqf bill that has happened now, and other activities. I think the answer that really lies in exactly what Mr. Rajnath Singh, our defense minister, stated. We will look at where this thing gets perpetuated. So any reaction that India has today has to hit the political establishment and the military hierarchy establishment that is behind this particular whole agenda. Right. I think the last time when we did go down and hit the terrorist camp, I think we need something else which is going to really hurt them hard, which actually is basically a shot below the belt to ensure that both the military standing as well as the political hierarchy there at the apex leadership finally wakes up. So I think that is carried in the message. Yeah.
So when we talk about hurting the real perpetrators of terror, and not just pruning the branches, cutting the leaves and then celebrating. Because clearly, you don't expect the government to set the bar low, do a low jump and then celebrate. If it's the Narendra Modi government that did Balakot in 2019 after Pulwama, in your appreciation, does it have to be a military response or even a non-military response will make the Pakistani military jihad complex, the deep state, bleed? How does one make the deep state bleed, sir?
I think let's get it two things. A kinetic response has to be there. There has to be a visible response. The non-kinetic responses which you're talking about, which is happening in the international fora, whether it's on the economic, on other fronts, will continue. But I think what needs to be done, and I think the answer is very clear. We will respond, we will hit deep hard, we will hit where it hurts, but we will do it at the time and place of our own choosing. A reactive scenario is what is happening now, our tactical deployments, taking the necessary actions, fill up the voids that got created because of a larger action that had happened on our northern borders. I think we need to relook at, again, our our anti-terrorist grid within the valley. I think more importantly, I think when I look at the larger picture today, seeing what is happening in Bangladesh and the kind of statements that came out, the visit of the ISI chief to the area of Rangpur, Ashuganj, those areas, the exercises that are being done with the Chinese, the activity and the statement of Asif Munir just a few days back, where he talking about two-nation theory, highlighting the strength and support that their institution needs to give to the Muslims across in India. I think all together talk about a very, very deep agenda. And I think this time when we go in, I have no doubt there are enough plans that we have of hitting various places. But as I said, the time and place today of choosing, and I think the importance of the target that will be selected goes without stating that if the Prime Minister, the Finance Minister, if everybody cut short their visits, got back, you're going to have a Cabinet Committee of Security meeting. I think we should be very sure that there's going to be something which is much more. And I think now, with the kinetic response, there has to be a underlying agenda which needs to go in.
Oh,
I think
absolutely.
Sorry.
Go ahead. So the point I was trying to make was it cannot be symbolic. It has to be punitive. It has to be detrimental to their existence as a military that runs a country. And I want to understand from you, because they claim they're a nuclear weapon state, they're a Muslim country, and it's their ideology that's at stake. And Kashmir is their Shehrag or jugular vein. And then they go into some kind of an Islamic rant that you heard coming out of Asif Munir. I mean, I've known generals like you, I've known generals in the Indian Army, and suddenly he sounds more like a zealot and some kind of a Mullah Maulana, more of that and less of a four-star general. But I want to understand from you, it's a nuclear weapon state. There will be consequences. He will hit back. whatever we do. Are we on top of that escalation ladder, and if so, till what extent? Because some people who float that nuclear bogey, why is that nuclear bogey just that, a bogey?
Let me just put it like this, that today, when you're functioning at a subconventional level, I think there will be responses that we can do which do not really require that. I mean, grandstanding and making all this noise about nuclear capability, and we have those capability, that is fine. But please remember, as I think a lot of our nuclear assessments that have been done by some of our very, very learned nuclear academicians and strategic analysts, it talks about how at the end of the day of a nuclear war coming up, what might hit us maybe about 10%, 2 or 3 cities, but it will actually lead to the annihilation as far as Pakistan is concerned. So I don't think we should get too worried. Yes, we should be conscious. I think there is a need for us to start looking at defanging these nuclear capabilities. I think taking help of people like what the Mossad and what the Israelis talk about needs to be looked at quite seriously at our own level. And I'm sure by saying this, it doesn't mean that we aren't looking at it. And I'm sure there are ways that we are looking at with collaboration, without collaboration, with support, or individually. So I don't think we should get too worried about the bogey card as far as the nuclear bit is concerned in this particular scenario. What is required is hit hard, but then it has to be sustained. It can't be that after this we have like a Pulwama, we had the Balakot, and then again it went low. Yes, may I also state, there seems to have been, after the period of the way Kashmir was on the upward swing after the elections, and I think some very positive statements by the current government in power as well, along talking in harmony with the central government, seemed things were getting better. I think with the visiting of the President Vance coming in, with the kind of statements and activities Munir had made, maybe somewhere down the line, we should have also been a little more alert. But let me also put it in the right context. You cannot look after and have police deployed everywhere or the security forces everywhere.
True.
I think necessary security was done. It's a big nation. The terrorists will strike, but we now need to see after that that there is a sustained effort to ensure that we keep hitting the establishment, not only just the terrorist camp across the range, which really makes no difference. It has to be from the fulcrum from where it is coming. And there are very big means which are available to the state to try and execute that. And I'm sure there'll be more. I may not be the right guy to share it in a public forum. What are the options? But yes, the state has many means by which to keep targeting and ensure that there's a sustained pressure.
Big point you're making. Sustained pressure. Keep targeting, not just one Balakot, because as the External Affairs Minister also put it very aptly, Pakistan is, we know the DNA of that country. It's a bigoted country. Their DNA is bigoted. The sooner we realize it, the sooner we understand it, internalize it, forget this Aman Ki Asha. They don't want Aman Ki Asha with India. Isn't that a fact, General? And we'll talk about that in greater detail. When those who say, let's revive, let's make borders disappear, you will have another Murshidabad in our country from this time happening from Pakistan. The moment you make borders disappear.